For 11 years, I kept the systems running, not the kind of work anyone applauds. The invisible infrastructure, the rules, exceptions, and quiet fixes that made a logistics company look like it had its act together. If a shipment arrived early, it was luck. If it arrived on time, it was the system. If it arrived late, it was my fault. I didn't mind. I liked problems that didn't announce themselves. I liked knowing who panicked and who needed clear instructions. I liked preventing disasters so quietly no one realized they were avoided. Then they hired Ethan, the COO's old college roommate, confident, polished, fond of phrases like operational velocity and frictionless execution. During our first meeting, he asked me why the routing system had so many backup rules. "We don't need them," he said. "They complicate things." "We don't need them," I agreed, "until we do." 3 months later, HR booked a meeting. They didn't say I was replaced. They said the company was restructuring. My skills were deeply operational, they said. The future required strategic leadership. Ethan would take over systems oversight. I was offered a severance package and a vague LinkedIn recommendation. So vague it could have applied to anyone. I left quietly. No warnings, no scorched earth. I handed over documentation so thorough it almost felt like an apology. Almost. 2 weeks later, I started consulting. Not aggressively. I updated my LinkedIn headline, built a simple website, let a few former contacts know I was available for short-term operations help if they ever needed it. The first call didn't come from my old company. It came from a regional distributor we shared warehouses with. "Quick question," the director said. "Did you used to handle exception routing for Apex?" I did. "Good. Because something strange is happening. Their delays are spreading." That was the word he used. Spreading. Over the next month, more calls came in. A supplier confused by missed pickup windows. A software vendor asking why API requests no longer match documentation. A driver training firm trying to reconcile contradictory compliance instructions. I didn't criticize anyone. I didn't need to. I just explained how things used to work. By the end of the quarter, Apex had a problem no one could clearly identify. Nothing was catastrophically broken. Routes technically worked. Schedules technically complied. Reports technically matched. But drivers were quitting. Clients were adding penalty clauses. Margins were thinning in places no dashboard could explain. Ethan responded the way people like Ethan always do. More meetings, new frameworks, fresh terminology, weekly syncs. The systems didn't care. One afternoon, an email landed in my inbox, forwarded twice before it reached me. Subject, quick question. It was from Apex's largest retail client. "Hi, Noah. We heard you're consulting independently now. We're reviewing our logistics partners and wanted to understand whether the reliability issues we're seeing are temporary or structural. Would you be open to a short call?" I stared at the screen longer than I needed to. Then I replied with my hourly rate. The call lasted 40 minutes. I shared nothing confidential. No proprietary data, just fundamentals. Why certain inefficiencies existed. Why removing them made things look cleaner and behave worse. 2 weeks later, that retailer reduced Apex's volume by 30%. I found out when the new logistics provider hired me to rebuild their routing logic. By year's end, Apex hadn't collapsed. They'd shrunk, quietly, uncomfortably. Ethan transitioned into a strategic advisory role. The COO stopped talking about restructuring. Job listings appeared for operations analysts with responsibilities I recognized immediately. No one asked me to come back. I wouldn't have gone. I had 5 clients by then 8, then more work than I could handle alone. I hired a former dispatcher everyone had underestimated, then a systems analyst who preferred clarity over politics. We worked quietly, reliably. Boring, some might say. That was the goal. I didn't destroy the company. I just stopped carrying the complexity they never realized I was holding. And without that weight, nothing exploded. Things simply stopped working the way everyone had assumed they always would.